Hey, what's going on, everybody? Just real quick here with theta, I just want to talk about a couple of different scenarios again. So I personally think we need a correction. Now, I said in the last video, we can either have another wave to the upside like this. Let me show you. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is wave 3. And now we're in wave 4, about to get wave 5. So that could potentially occur. Now, if that's not the case, then, and we continue pumping to the upside, either wave 4 was really quick and it's already finished, or we have wave 3 not finished yet. So maybe wave 3 has another wave to go. And the reason I say that is because when you zoom in to this structure here, which is supposedly the fifth of the third wave, then you have 1, 2. All of this is 3. This is 4, and now we're in the middle of this fifth wave, right? So we have another wave to go to complete the third wave. So I could put third down here. I don't know how high it would go. I guess you can do some fib retracements, but before I do that, the other way you can say is you have a 1, 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. So when I got that, I said, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of profit on my swing trade. Remember, nothing to do with my investment, my hodl position. So my daily trade / swing trading took a bit of profit when I seen that, and looking to re-enter if we get a better pullback. Now we got this big pullback. I didn't really trust it because it was a liquidation event, right? It's sort of, I want more confirmation, right? So then you get if this was a wave 1 to the downside, and then you get a 3-way pullback, then you're sort of looking for more downside to re-enter. But instead, we sort of went sideways a bit, then we hit the high. So then to me, that looks more like a 3-wave move. So you have this move to the downside, then a 1, 2, 3. So this looks like an A, B, C, right? So now we have a 1, 2, and then we have another 1, 2. Maybe we start trending down or start to range, right? Like I said, depending if it's a fourth wave, we can easily come up and hit the high, and let's see what the target would be if that's the case. So I would take this from here. Yeah, it's kind of difficult to know. If this is an impulse, I can put it here to here, and then I would say the 1-to-1 extension, which would be around $4.18, if in fact that's the case. I don't know it is. So that's why I took partial profit off my swing trade. So when you zoom out, another reason as well is we are pretty far away from the bull market support band, right? So remember here we were accumulating. So from there, it's about a 225% move. Hey, I'll take it, especially if you're using leverage. So Now, when you zoom out, it still looks very bullish. It still looks we have much more upside to go. But on the smaller time frames, we probably will have a correction soon. So either we get that other wave up, which will take us to, what did I say, $4.18 around there? So I would just say this high here. So we have this high and this high. So we're basically in between this block right here. So this block right here, and we're sort of in the middle of it. So usually when you enter it, at some point you get to the top. So maybe we continue popping, maybe we have a little sideways or flag out consolidation, then get to the top, right? We'll have to see. But for now, it looks pretty bullish, right? If this is the middle of the third wave, we still don't have a wave 2 of 3. So we have wave 1, we have wave 2. We're in the middle of wave 3. But inside wave 3, you need 5 waves. So this is wave 1. Let's get wave 2. Then you get wave 3, 4, and 5. And then this whole thing is a 1, 2, all of that's 3, right? Then you pull back for 4. And then you go up again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Something like that. So then the whole thing becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the hope and the idea is to have wave 3, whenever it's finished, to break above the all-time high. If in fact that's what's going to happen. If not, and it's a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, that's also very bullish, but more bullish longer term. So you have a rise, crash, and this is not as big. Maybe it comes up here, then you sort of get this motion, then you go. The difference between the two is I think this route here will take us higher versus this route here, which is quicker, sooner, faster, and harder, but not as much because of the momentum, right? So this, you sort of gain momentum, and then you really accelerate. This way, we're just sort of impulsing till we get to the top. Either way, you're going to make a lot of money, I think. Not financial advice. Talking about the macro from Theta. So, and remember, when you zoom all the way out on the price of Theta, it's nothing but bullish to me. I mean, let me just make it very small. So look at that. So that's the very small right there. You have your base. You have your first wave. Your first wave to the upside. You have wave 2. And now the idea here is that now we're in the process of wave 3. Now I don't know where wave 3 can go, but I'm thinking between $50 and $60 is sort of a realistic expectation based off a wave 3, and also hitting that 4.236 around $64 is totally reasonable. The hardest part to get right was not in here, right? This part was pretty easy, right? Because we were in a Wyckoff accumulation, we had an inverse cup and handle, an inverse head and shoulders, and a cup and handle. We broke above the bull market support band, we back tested it, and we broke out, and that was all called down here at 64 cents. That was sort of easy. Now, as you're getting into the resistance up here, then it becomes more difficult, because now you're sort of like, okay, how's this going to work, right? So if I put this on log scale, according to log scale, we're at the 50% area, right? So there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different things that can happen in here, because technically it's still in a correction until we sort of break this high. Obviously we can have an impulse, right? We can impulse out of here, but this whole thing is all corrective until we start breaking out. And the correction on the way up, rather if it's an impulse or still part of the bigger correction, is, it can do a lot of different sort of dynamics, right? On the short time frame, not on the large time frame. The large time frame, like I said, rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, something like that. Or 1, 2, we get up to 3, 4, 5, continue higher. So the difference is, here's your base, and then we develop another base and then continue higher, right? The other option is you just keep impulsing, correct, pull back, slicing through the retracement levels. So getting through the retracement levels and how the shape and how the route takes place, it could be a little confusing, and it's not going to be perfect, right? So whatever I say, probably, my whole goal for this is to get to the destination, and then I entertain the different routes that it could take. So on the higher time frames, it's easier. On the smaller time frames, there's a lot of different possibilities that can happen, right? Because as right now, it looks very, very bullish, but look at all these green candles. Statistically, at some point, you're going to get a pullback. So if you're trading, don't be ashamed of taking profits, is all I'm trying to say on this video. So another thing I'm looking at, look at this. We got a big impulse on the 1 hour chart that just occurred. Let me zoom in to the smaller time frame. So we have this sort of 3-wave move to the downside. I mean, I guess you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you have this 3-wave pullback, sort of this down move, and you're retracing this down move before more downside. Or we can get through the retracements and go through the upside. It's all about how the price reacts in the retracement. So here's your top of the range, here's the bottom of the range, and then here's the halfway point, right? Usually you retrace halfway, continue down, or you continue sideways. But it's like, well, that doesn't help me, right? It could go up, it can go down, it can go, and that's the truth. When you look at, this is the 10-minute chart, right? So that's why I don't really do that, because there's a lot of different options. So if you zoom out a little bit, one thing I did notice is, check this out. It appears we have some type of, let me get to the 30-minute here. It kind of sort of looks like perhaps we have this sort of awkward looking, maybe a ascending triangle. Maybe. It's kind of hard to say, because if I draw it like this, then you could say, well, that descending triangle already broke to the downside, right? So I try to give the bulls the benefit of the doubt, even though currently I'm not super bullish on the smaller time frame, still very bullish on the larger time frame. Like I said in the last video, I think we need a correction, or at least some consolidation, and we're getting that, right? So if you look here, it started on the March 5th, and right now, what are we, March 9th, almost March 10th? So it's been consolidating like this, boom, 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 for the last 5 days, which is a good thing. That's what you want. So the question is, as it's consolidating, people are taking profit, things like that. So the question becomes, is this distribution, or is this reaccumulation, and then we're going to continue higher? If we continue higher, then I think that when you zoom out, then that's the 5th wave, right? Of this 5th wave here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So a lot of times you get 7 waves, but it's really 5. You're just counting that extra wave as a subwave. So if we get up here to that $4 area, then we can rule out the possibility of a bigger correction now, and then say, okay, now we're going to get a bigger correction, but it's going to be after that fifth wave. So I don't know if I made too much sense on the previous video. I just wanted to come here and reiterate that. So either way, like I said, either way, if we make another high like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we get up to here, maybe that $4 plus area. Then I zoom out to, say, the 2-day chart, or even let's say we get back up to this high here, and look at that. It actually, the Fibonacci as well lines up with sort of this resistance up here. So it would make sense if we had another high. That's why, sometimes when you're swing trading daily, you don't want to take all your profit. You want to leave some on the table if in fact you have another high, right? And then, the same way you dollar cost average into the market, also dollar cost average out of the market. But as a hodler, no, I wouldn't, not financial advice, but I would not be selling at all as an investor, as a hodler, because I think this is only the beginning of what Theta has to offer. But if you're trading the ranges and trading the subwaves, then yeah, maybe consider taking some profit. Especially, we went up 225% off the bull market support band. That's not a bad trade. So then you just wait and find a better entry. Now, if we continue pumping to the upside, you don't care about that because you're looking for the entry, right? If you're an investor, a hodler, a spot trader, or a spot consumer, right, and you sell, that's what people get wrong, right? They sell their spot position so that they can buy in cheaper. That's the difference. So when you're trading, you don't care if the price is higher or lower, right? You're looking for an entry to gain on a trade. So, but if you're buying the market from retail from a spot exchange, and you're just accumulating, and then you sell that position because you think, okay, it's going to come down, and I'm going to buy more for cheaper, then what you're doing is you're selling your position based on it going down, right? It has to come back below where you sold it, right? And that's not how you should trade, in my opinion, because a lot of times you think it's over and you sell it and you go, well, I'm just going to buy back cheaper, and then it keeps going higher. Well, then you just got left behind. But if you're day trading or swing trading, you don't really care because you made your profit, you got out, and now you're looking for another entry. You see what I mean? It's kind of confusing, right? When people, not saying anybody listening, but when somebody is trading, right, versus somebody else who's just buying and holding, that person buying and holding cannot, I repeat, cannot have the same strategy as someone else who is swing trading or day trading. It just doesn't work. So that's why I got to be very careful with how I present things, especially when I announce what I'm doing. I want to reiterate, hey, just because I'm doing it doesn't mean you should do it, especially if you're an investor or a hodler or you're just buying it from a spot market. Because if you sell it, then you have to get lower prices, right? You don't want to sell it at $3.10 and then it jumps up to $4, right? And then you're like, now you're panicking, right? Now you're worried. But if you sold in a trade that you already made money on, then you don't really care, because what you're more concerned about as a trader is finding an entry point, like on a pullback or whatever. So they're two totally different worlds, right? I play in both of the worlds. So that doesn't mean you should, but if you are day trading or swing trading, always use risk management. But like I said, it looks like we could have another high, especially if this is sort of some type of ascending triangle. So what would be the measured move of that ascending triangle? Well, if I did it conservatively on the base here, up to here, and then I take this, and then I put it all the way up here, what would, let's see, yeah, right about there. Would you look at that? If I pull it down here, that's right at about a $4.15, $4.20, exactly what that fib target was here. So if I pull this from here, whoop, that wasn't the right one. Well, I can do it like this too. If I pull this down here, that was in between the 1.4 and the 1618. But I like using trend based up to here and then back down to here, and that's the 1-to-1 right there. So that's right almost around that 1-to-1 extension. I mean, I didn't draw it perfectly pinpointed, but it's around that area. So if you're looking for a fifth wave, then we'll see. Maybe this is a 1, 2, 3, this is 4, and then we get 5, and then this whole 5 is a part of this fifth wave here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and this 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this whole thing is 5, and then when you zoom out again, you have 1, 2, and then all of this is wave 3, right? If we get up here, 1, 2, all of that's 3. And then depending on how the correction looks, how the, because the corrections can be different. They can have sharp moves down. They could be a running flat, an expanded flat, just a regular ABC. It's very hard to know. It could develop, a descending triangle, or there's a lot of different things, and there's no reason to sort of predict what the future will be until we get to that point. Then we can sort of figure it out. But yeah, so just call it a fourth wave, then you get that fifth wave. So for me, I'm trading this, and remember, it's different than buying and holding. So the way I'm trading it is, if we have another hit to the high, then I will take more profit. And then I'll look to re-enter that on a pullback. If the pullback doesn't go below where I sold it before, that's fine. Because again, I don't care about the price. I care about the percentage that I make and the entry that I have. So I hope that makes sense to people. So we'll see how it goes. I think I made myself pretty clear. So yeah, this is a 4-hour chart, and we have these two red candles down here. We have these two engulfing candles above. Let's see if we can. One of the things I'll be watching is, can we break this high? If we can break this high, then you can do a very short-term trade, not financial advice. But if I was short-term trading, see, there's like swing trading, day trading, and then you have even smaller than that. You can say, okay, and I don't really like to do that. I like to do more of the bigger swings. But if this breaks out, you can trade the pattern, right? So if you take the pattern and we break out and we close above $3 and say, what is that? $3 and 26 cents, and we close above it, and it looks like it's starting to break out. And then we get a little pullback and maybe a back test of the breakout area, then that would be a good potential long opportunity for the measured move of this potential ascending triangle, which is around $4.15. So if we break out, my target would be about $4 and between $4 and $4. That's another dollar from where it's at. So what's the percentage from where it's currently at? That's about another 30% to the upside. So that's a pretty big ask. I don't know if it'll get there, but hey, we'll see. Because yeah, it looks like when even when you zoom out more, it looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we got that breakout for wave 5. So yeah, we'll see how that works. And then if that occurs, like I said, then I want to see a better correction or more consolidation, right? So if I zoom out to the 4-day chart, that can, like I said, it can look different things. It can be a flat, it can be just ranging in here, right? It could be sort of flagging out, or if it really wants to, it can come all the way back down to the breakout level way down here. So this was our breakout area. We can come all the way back down here, and if that happened, that would actually be the most bullish situation, because like I said, that would print a 1, 2. This would be another 1, 2. You get my drift? So instead of being in that third big mega wave, this is just another 1, 2 wave, which is setting us up for a much, much bigger third wave. So if you bite the bullet and just, have to endure that big drop, if it comes, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if that's the case, then that would make a mega move, in my opinion. So if we get that little wave to the upside, let's see how it consolidates in here. Shoot, it might just have a little pullback, and that's all it needs, and it can continue higher. It's really hard to know, because when you go through these retracement levels, a lot of things can happen. A lot of things can go wrong. You think, hey, this is what it looks like, and boom, does something else. But that's why we want to talk about all the possibilities. So anything that happens, we can say, that's cool. We talked about that. If that's the case, then we'll handle it like this. Or if this, then this. So, but yeah, that's the interesting part about TA is there's a right interpretation, but there's also not a wrong interpretation, if you know what I mean. So, and when you look at Bitcoin, just real fast, we could, if we break out next week, right? That's why I said in the last video, I want to wait till Monday or Tuesday when the trading week starts. That way you sort of kind of know what how the tone it gets set for that Sunday weekly close, and what the stock market's doing and things like that. But if Bitcoin decides to break out next week, then that would be the first time in Bitcoin's history where it broke out in less than what is it? Let me go to the weekly here. Less than a week, right? Because the weekly candle is going to end in about 2 days. So if the weekly candle ends and then we have another weekly candle going above that one, then that hasn't happened yet, unless it's going to be part of like a bigger correction in here before we break out and we sort of bounce around above the all-time high, below the all-time high. You know what I mean? Like the last time that happened. But the last time it happened, it didn't quite break above the all-time high. So there's a lot of different variables that are occurring. So yeah, it should be interesting to see. It's because you like I said, you got to worry about Bitcoin, and that's kind of the part that kind of sucks, right? Bitcoin has to provide the show. And that's why I say, well, if that's why I want regulations, because then you have a regulated market where eventually utility will drive that market based on utility, not like meme coins and not to say they don't have their own type of utility. I look at meme coins like Pokemon cards, right? Remember those? Pokemon made a lot of money and kids loved it. And I was one of those kids. I actually had Pokemon cards when I was a kid. And I can't believe I can't believe it's that old. It seems like it's not. Um so yeah, so if Bitcoin does consolidate up below the all-time high or around the all-time high, that's actually a good thing, not a bad thing, because that would allow Theta to either, and that's sort of another reason why I want Theta to kind of consolidate and do it, because it's better it consolidates and corrects now. That way, once Bitcoin does go into its range, then Theta is ready for that big pop, that next big markup phase. So there's a lot to take in here on this 31-minute video, but I want to try to emphasize on my last video, because I don't think I did a good job explain. I know I did on the waves and stuff, but I want to just reiterate sort of Theta only with the complements of Bitcoin. So yeah, let's see what happens. I will say this, on the monthly chart of Bitcoin, basically the only thing that would be really cool is for Bitcoin to close the month above 61K. So last month we didn't get that close, but that's fine, right? So this month, if we close above 61,360 on this Bitstamp chart, and we close the month above, then it's gonna really set the tone, right? Then at that point we want to hold above, right? We don't want, so that would be the big test. If we can close above this high and close above it, then we know, okay, that's the standard, that's the support. If we break below the support, that's okay, but we don't want that monthly candle, the next monthly candle, the month of April, to close below this line. If it does that, then that means you had a breakout and then you came back and you closed below, and it sort of looks like a fake out, right? And we could still recover from that, right? But it won't look too nice, because you would have a 1, 2, this would be 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, it would still work, but you kind of want to stay above this line to make it more clean, right? Without a shadow of a doubt, yes, we are doing this bull run. And then it gives even more confidence into the altcoins. So, yep, let's do it. Thank you guys for watching and listening. I will catch you guys on the next one. And if you'd be so kind, I would appreciate a like, a comment, and always hit that subscribe if you haven't already. And I will catch you guys on the next one. And by the way, if you want me to look at any coins, feel free to comment below, and I might check it out on the next rapid fire section next week. I already got several coins that I've written down, so I'll be checking those out. But if anybody new has some, I'll go ahead and check out more. So, yep, I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.